This is part of my memoir, Maha Unshackled. If you're just joining, you might want to start reading from the beginning, chapter 1 to 9. You've just ruined us. You brought shame to this family, you selfish whore, my mother shouted at me after my divorce was official. It wasn't my intention. I didn't like the man. I didn't find him attractive. He was so boring, I tried to explain. You think your life is going to be the same as before? You think you can walk around free like you did? Never. You're going to stay in your room. No phone, no outings. What are people going to say about us? Putting her head in her hands. You just want me to disappear? I said, my voice shaking with anger. Yes, she hissed. Better you disappear than humiliate us in front of everyone. Fine by me. I'd rather vanish than sit across from you pretending you are my mother, I shouted. Then rot in there, she screamed. Don't you dare show your face in social settings. Don't speak to anyone. Don't even breathe in front of me. Fantastic, I said. I don't want to see you either. You brought this on yourself, she said. You made your bed, now lie in it. Other normal mothers would have stood by their daughters, like my aunt. Your very own sister, Mom. She is kind to her daughter and always defends her against the cruelty of our culture and the heavy-handed rule of her father, the almighty Sheikh, and his elder sons, I said, my fist clenched so angry that my nails could almost cut through my palms. At 21 years old, I spent the following year grounded, locked in my bedroom for an entire year of my life. No phone, no contact with the outside world. Not only was I imprisoned, but pretty much in solitary confinement inside my family home, like a prisoner on death row. She was at the peak of her rage and violence during that time. Anytime she saw me, she would jump on me and beat me as viciously as she could. I was a grown woman by that time, but I still froze like a child. I never raised my hands to stop her or even cover myself. Instead, I curled into a little ball, a fetal position, waiting for her rage to pass. My body would shut down in terror, like prey caught by a predator. My mind knew I was older, stronger, that I could have pushed her back, but my body programmed for something different. My body remembered that little girl who had no escape, who had learned that fighting back only made her rage worse. She had instilled that terror in me from the beginning, trained me to believe that I was helpless. Even as a woman, I carried that programming inside of me way beyond leaving Yemen and moving to the States. I was in such complete isolation that I began hearing voices in my head. I was starting to lose my mind. The days blurred together, and I lost count of them. I would sleep all day and then wake up around 9 p.m., waiting until 2 or 3 in the morning to sneak out because that was when she would finally start to wind down and went to sleep. She usually slept until past noon. That window of time was the only chance I had to sneak into the kitchen and eat whatever leftovers I could find in the fridge. It was the only meal I had all day. I even avoided using the bathroom, even though it was right next to my bedroom, because I didn't want to risk running into her. I was so scared of leaving my room. I wanted to be invisible. Instead, I peed in a cup and dumped it out of the window. The loyal friend that she was, Abir, came to the rescue, my only friend on the outside. She arranged an almost CIA-like mission to sneak in. Wait for it. A cell phone. So she could check in on me and make sure I'm still alive. Cell phones had finally made their way to Yemen, and because of its small size and no wiring, it was much easier to hide from my mother. One day, I snuck down to the ground floor of our house at 4 a.m, where that empty room was, dark and quiet. My heart pounded in my chest with every step. afraid the floor would creak and the noise would wake anyone up. I closed the door behind me and picked up the receiver. I heard the dial tone and slowly dialed the phone number I knew by heart. Then came the sound that made my heart race, the long, hollow ring of the phone on the other end. I held my breath with every ring, terrified that her husband Khalid might answer first. Finally, the click, and then Abir's voice. When Abir heard my voice, she gasped, "Maha, I can't believe it's you. We haven't talked since your divorce. How are you? Are you okay?" "I'm surviving," I whispered, "barely." She lowered her voice urgently. "I've been so worried about you. Tell me what's happening." I told her about the walls closing in on me, the silence, the isolation, and the voices creeping into my head. She listened and then said, "I have an idea. I'll ask my housekeeper to talk to your family's housekeeper." There was a network of housekeepers in our neighborhood, most of them from Ethiopia or Somalia. They all knew each other, looked out for each other, met on weekends, and sometimes even had small parties in the little free time that they had. "I'll buy a cell phone for you and give it to my housekeeper," Abir said. "Then my housekeeper will pass it on to your family's housekeeper, and your housekeeper will hand it to you." "Genius," I shouted, then quickly lowered my voice in fear. Cell phones had just arrived in Yemen at that time, and only the super wealthy and the very cool owned one. A few days later, it worked. She laughed softly. "Surprise! A brand new Motorola StarTech, only the best for my bestie. Now we can talk whenever we want." I pulled the blanket over myself, whispered into the phone, "If my mom hears me, I'm finished. But I don't care. I've missed this so much." "We've been doing this for years," Abir giggled. "We're pros now." And so we did. We laughed, whispered about boys and love, played our favorite songs, and gushed over celebrity crushes. She told me about her new marriage, her husband, how much she loved him, and how she wished I could find someone like him. Then Abir dropped her voice like she was about to spill the tea. "You know what? Khalid has a best friend who would be just the perfect match for you. He told Khalid that he doesn't want a traditional Yemeni girl who just cooks and has babies. He says he already has a housekeeper. He's just a cool, open-minded guy like Khalid. He's the type that wouldn't care that you're divorced and tamed like the others. He wants someone strong, a free-spirited woman who speaks her mind, who has opinions of her own, someone to love and enjoy life with. He's a U.S. citizen and lived most of his life in America, and he's very handsome, funny, and comes from the wealthiest families in Yemen, if not the wealthiest, period. I know you two would hit it off right away. He's so your style. And the best part, he doesn't want an arranged marriage. He told Khalid, 'I don't want a bunch of old farts choosing my wife for me.' He wants to marry for love, Maha, just like you." I smiled underneath the covers, listening to her words, fantasizing about what this guy might look like. It was Love is Blind before Love is Blind became a hit TV show on Netflix 20 years later. This was the original version, the underground, high-stakes Yemeni edition. But even with the fantasy spinning in my head, parts of me couldn't help but think, how could that even be possible? How could I ever connect with this one-of-a-kind Yemeni man when I was trapped in such intense isolation, sneaking calls in the middle of the night like a prisoner? If I couldn't even talk to my best friend without risking my life, how could I talk to a man, the most forbidden thing I could do? It wasn't long before my mother found out about the StarTech and about me peeing in the cup. She had seen the trail of pee running down the outside wall, dripping from my window all the way to the ground. I don't know who told her about the cell phone. When she came in, her face twisted with rage. I felt sick, my face so pale. Hers was red. Everything was now out in the open. I had never felt more shame in my life. Even though she was the one who locked me up in the room, she made my father take his tools and remove the doorknob completely from my bedroom. He unscrewed it piece by piece until nothing was left but a raw circle, a hollow hole where the knob used to be. So now she could barge in whenever she wanted and beat me whenever she pleased. I was now left with no sense of freedom or privacy whatsoever, and no contact with the only friend I had in the whole wide world, Abir. This was an excerpt from my upcoming memoir. Stay tuned for more. P.S. My memoir is complete and has been sitting on my laptop for months, staring at me like, now what? So if you know a publisher or can slip it to Oprah or Reese Witherspoon's book club, I'll owe you free yoga classes for life. Please subscribe for free to receive the next chapter.